Oh, I'm going live. All right. So I don't anticipate this to be a really long live. It just so happens that I'm up this morning, and most mornings I try to sleep in as much as possible, especially on the weekend. I get so tired. But for some reason, I woke up at like 4 in the morning this morning. Completely woke up. Like, get out of bed, go cook some breakfast, like up this morning. And I realized that most of the time I do my live streams at night. So because I do it at night, there's a segment of my viewership that has to catch it the next day because my night is there like midnight, 2, 3 in the morning. So I thought I'd try a little morning stream just to say hello to the ones that I don't catch when I do my normal live hours. Also because it's Onu's birthday. It's his birthday yesterday in Korea and today in America, I believe. And I'm so happy that he's happy. He looks like he's doing really well in the military. And I don't know if I can talk as much about Onu as I do about Minho because obviously Minho is my bias. He is my channel icon. He's a lot of things to me. But I love Onu. I love Onu, and I've talked about my love of Onu before, and I'll talk about it here briefly because you need to hear it. Onu's been through a lot. Uh, I would say it's been now 2.5 years since the troubles for Onu really came to light. But a lot of Shawls always knew that Onu enjoyed drinking. Anytime that Shiny would go on a show, they would talk about how like Onu could drink the most out of anybody in the group and like he could just really drink the house down. And anytime they would talk about like going out to eat, they'd always talk about, he loves to drink beer and eat. Well, apparently the drinking had gotten to a place where it was no longer fun drinking, it was sad drinking. And he had this incident where he was in a nightclub and he was falling down drunk, and there was a lady in the nightclub that he kept falling on. And even the lady acknowledged, like, he was slurring, hello. Even the lady acknowledged, like, he was slurring and just not steady on his feet. And his friends kept grabbing him and apologizing because he was sloppy drunk. But it turned into kind of a sexual assault deal once the police got involved. And the police ended up dropping the charges. Nothing ever went through. And apparently, everyone in the club said, yeah, he wasn't assaulting her. He was just like really sloppy drunk. But it was during a time when he was going to be doing a drama, which he had just done his successful turn on Descendants of the Sun. So everybody's looking forward to him being in this latest drama. He had to drop out the drama. It pushed back Shiny's album release. Shiny had recorded an entire album, and SM was like, we're not going to put it out because people don't really want to hear from Onu right now, and we're not trying to do a 4-piece release. So it was a really tough time for all of us involved who loved Onu. And Onu took a step back. He quit doing any public appearances. He really stayed in his private life. He stayed off of social media for the most part. He just really kind of fell in a hole. And we don't really know much about that period of his life. All we know is that when Junghyun passed away and we saw Onu again, Onu's hair was long and it looked like he just really had given up on any kind of public persona. And so right after Junghyun passed away, they had already been scheduled to do some Japanese concert dates. And it was kind of a litmus test for a lot of us. It was like, okay, they could choose not to do the Japanese concert and say that they need more time, and all of us would give you more time. You could do the Japanese concert and say this will be our last concerts as Shiny because we can't maintain the group anymore. Or you could do the impossible, hi, and say this concert is us telling the world that we are going to continue to exist as five forever. And that is what they did. And coming from where he came from, in that kind of like, I don't want anybody to see me, I don't want to talk to anybody, I'm disappearing from the public, to having to pull himself up out of this funk and lead the remaining 3 members that are still on this mortal coil into a comeback and into 3 comebacks, that takes a lot. It takes a lot of strength, it takes a lot of heart, and it takes a lot of soul. And I don't think that everyone can do that. There's a lot of people capable of doing that, but it's not something that everyone can do. A normal person might just say, this is the sign that I need to get out of here. Look what it's doing to the people around me. I can't continue to operate in this toxic environment. But I think more than anything, and this is just me assuming, I haven't talked to Onu, we're not close, I wish we were. I can't help but assume that Onu felt like I let him down. Not that he did, but I can imagine that Onu thought, I let you down. As the leader of this group and as someone who should be looking out for you and checking on you, I got so lost in what I was doing that I didn't see that you were in this bad place and I could have stopped this from happening. But I promise I'm not going to let this happen to anyone else around me. And I think that's the main thing that compelled Onu to not only go back to doing schedules, but especially coming back for the group. I think in terms of his own private schedules, I would be surprised if Onu jumps right into doing acting again or if he jumps right into doing solo stuff again. But I know that the minute the rest of Shiny is ready, he'll do another Shiny promotion because that's where his real allegiance lies. These are the individuals that he spent most of his career with. He spent most of his adult life with these people. And for better or for worse, they have a fraternity, they have a brotherhood. And you can't go through the things that they've gone through and not have some affinity for one another because the things that they've gone through, you would either be closer than ever or you would split apart. There's no two ways about it. And the fact that they stayed together and they've been so candid about wanting to remain a group, it just lets me know personally they're in it for the long haul. And the only person who could have made it happen is Onu. He's the only one. Key would probably still continue to be in entertainment, but he probably would have been like, okay, if Shiny's over, it's over. Minho would have wanted Shiny to continue, but I think he was waiting to hear from Onu because he didn't want to do anything that was going to hurt anybody else because he's soft like that. And Taemin of course would have continued in entertainment, but he would have been lost. He would have been lost because Shiny was his home. Shiny taught him to be an entertainer. There's no song that Taemin has ever released that didn't sound like his Shiny vocals. Like he's never changed his vocal pattern when he does his solo stuff. And anything that he learned being solo, he brought back to the group. And that's because the group taught him to sing. When you listen to him covering Jonghyun's parts, it's because he spent years listening to the timbre of his voice and listening to his ad-libs and listening to what he does. And that's the reason why he's able to do what he does. He's listened to Onu and how strong Onu's voice is and how distinctive it is and how important it is to have a vocal color. And so, yeah, I mean, they raised that boy. So of course Taemin's like, I'll do it too, but I can't, I don't know where to begin. And Onu had to be the one to pick it up and like, this is where we're going to begin. This is the direction we're going to take. These are the things that we're going to re-record. This is the kind of performance we're going to want to do. We're going to step outside of our comfort zone because we're already outside of our comfort zone, and we're going to make something really special. But we're going to make something that's also familiar because we don't want to alienate our fans, but also we want to feel that spirit of five in everything. And I thank Onu for being that man, for all of them. I don't know anyone else on earth who could have done it. I don't know anyone else on earth who could have done it. Because I was ready to be like, this is my Shiny memorial collection. But no, it grows every day, and it's because of him. It really is because of him. Let me read some comments. So one comment I have is from Random Chibi. It says, I was very surprised they did the concert, but it made me so proud that they pushed through even when they were still hurting. Honestly, it made me very self-reflective. And it does. I mean, if you could get over losing one of your good friends to suicide, not necessarily get over, but if you can get past that to continue living and not drown in that sorrow, that's a level of strength that we all aspire to have. And it makes you wonder, like, what are the small defeats in my life that I probably could have gotten over, but I felt more comfortable being sad than trying to be happy? Or maybe I felt guilt for being happy, or I felt guilt for continuing when this other person couldn't. So, yeah, it makes you wonder about your own behavior for sure. Another comment from Dark Angel below says, I want them to do that because they want to for themselves without love, not because of SM. I don't think that SHINee continued for SM. As much as Isuman pretends to love Taemin, and I'm sure he loves Taemin's money, but Isuman doesn't love anybody but himself. SHINee and Onu and Taemin and Key and Minho didn't go on for SM. Not at all. They went on for themselves. They went on for themselves and they went on for the fans. Because the fans made it worth it for them to do it as long as they did. I'm sure that there was a time, especially when they first went to Japan, where they thought, this is it. This is over. And instead, they kept going. And yeah, with our love. But yeah, I don't think that they would have kept doing it for SM because SM's got other acts. SM, I'm not saying SM doesn't need SHINee, but SM wouldn't fall if SHINee wasn't there. So it's not like their money is what keeps everyone else on the label employed. But it is one of those things that they felt like for us and for the people who really have cared, who really have poured their heart into us, those are the people we want to do this for. And for their families. And you know, I'm sure that in some ways they probably had a really long and heartfelt talk with Jonghyun's family and asked them, how do you feel about us being SHINee without him? You know, they probably consulted his mother and sister and said, you know, we would like to be SHINee. This is what we'd like to do to honor him, to honor the fans, to honor our legacy. And because we've all put so much into this, we don't want to see it just end. And he probably got their feedback and their encouragement, and that's what kept him going. But no, SM, fuck SM. Fuck SM. You know? So yeah, I absolutely believe that they didn't do it for us and they did it for the fans, they did it for themselves, they did it for the comfort of what SHINee is, because SHINee's a home. SHINee's a home for me. When I am feeling my absolute lowest, there is always at least one SHINee song I can put on that will change everything around for me. Not necessarily pulling me completely out, but it'll get me to smile for that 2 or 3 minutes that I'm listening, you know? And there's countless songs on countless albums that do that for me. And I think it's like that for them too. They could do the replay dance in their sleep. Honestly, they could close their eyes and be put in the middle of the desert and somebody could hit that do 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 and they would just all of a sudden know the moves. Yeah, it's a home. It is a safe space. And for that reason, I just feel like that's why they did it. Because they needed that safe space, they needed that anchor and that encouragement. But I think that also Jonghyun's passing encouraged them all to pursue their individual dreams as well. Onu had said many, many, many times he was not interested in a solo career. Never wanted to do it. But I think that part of the reason why Onu didn't want to do a solo career is because he didn't feel like he was a favorite in the group. And he's like, I don't think people will want to buy my music. I'm not, you know, the visual of the group, and I'm not the dancing machine, and you know, I am one of the lead vocals obviously, but people may not like my voice by itself. And so I don't know if this is something that I can do. And I think once Jonghyun passed, he said, you know what? The time for fear is over. And he got brave. And he's been super brave. And he did voice. And he's like, you know what? I'm going to do an album of the music I like that I would never place on a SHINee album. Because if you listen to Voice, it doesn't have any material on it that sounds like it would belong on a SHINee album. None of it. There's not a single song on Voice that I'd be like, oh yeah, that belongs on this album or that belongs on that album. No. He's like, I'm doing something that is really me. That is the way I feel, is the music I listen to when I'm not doing group activities. This is me. And I'm not afraid, good morning, I'm not afraid of giving this to you because I'm not afraid anymore. What is there to be afraid of? And I appreciate that for him. I love seeing Onu in the military. Onu in the military is an absolute joy and a treasure, and I almost wish he could stay in the military longer, to be honest with you. Like, I want him home, don't get me wrong, but Onu has been doing a lot of musicals since he's been in the military, and he looks so fucking happy. He looks so fucking happy. Like, his smile is so big. He's doing so well in the musicals. People are so supportive. He just he looks like he's eating good. He looks like he's getting enough rest. He looks like he's making friendships. Like everything going on with him in the military makes me believe that that's the place he should be. And I don't say that in terms of like wanting him to be in line for danger, even though the Korean military is not nearly as dangerous as people act like it is. I just really want him to be in an environment that's as light in pressure as the military musical scene is. Like, yes, there is pressure to perform. You have to do a good job. You gotta learn your lines, your placements, spotting, all that stuff. But you don't have some company behind you saying, if we don't sell this many units, you're officially a flop and the company has lost money. That's not the thing that you hear behind the scenes. You're not being dragged into these impossible schedules to do military musicals. And that's the reason why I like it so much. It's just so light in pressure and it just gives him so much chance to breathe. And he just looks like he's having the time of his life. And he's being able to sing in a way that I think he doesn't get to do with SHINee. I remember he did a version, I think it was a version of Nessun Dorma. Correct me if I'm wrong, but he did like a operatic song for SHINee World 1, I believe, is the concert he did it for. And I remember the first time I heard it, I'm like, this is an odd choice for a pop concert. But then, over time, I'm like, of course he would choose this. Because Onew actually is a vocalist. He actually enjoys classically trained vocals. Like, that is his thing. He, like, enjoys the acrobatics, but he doesn't enjoy, like, the runs and stuff that you get with Jongin. He does a little bit of that. He does a little bit of the pop runs, but mostly he has like a really strong, thorough voice. And so musicals require you to have a really strong and thorough voice. It's not about the runs and the vocal acrobatics and some of the other stuff that you get when you're talking pop music. It is about, having good vibrato. It's about having strength and being able to hold a note for an extended period of time. It's about harmonizing. It's about clarity. It's about consistency and stability. And I think that's why musical theater is such a great fit for him. We all wanted him to do more musicals after he did Rock of Ages. We all wanted him to grow out his hair after Rock of Ages, to be honest with you. Ooh, long-haired Onew. What a dream. But yeah, I think that the musical scene fits him very well. And I hope that when he comes back from the military, that'll be the first thing he does. I'm serious. Like, I hope that when he gets out of the military, because Onew will still be in the military when, Minho will still be in the military when Onew gets out. I hope that the first project that Onew does is sign up for another musical, and that he does that just kind of to like get the juices flowing, get smaller audiences to see him, and then from there determine what he wants to do musically. But yeah, I'm so happy for him. He looks like he is just really taking it all in. And more than that, when he gets out of the military, I would like for him to have a personal manager. Now, idols all have managers, and managers sometimes manage just one person, sometimes they manage the whole group. Sometimes you have a manager that's just for when you're doing concert stages, sometimes you just have a manager for when you're doing acting activities, so on and so forth. I would like him to have a personal manager whose job it is just to be there for the moments when Onew needs help. Like, I would like him to have almost like a life coach, if you will, so that when he feels overwhelmed by his duties as a leader or by his entertainment activities or anything else, it's a safe person that he can talk to unload to, so that he can avoid alcohol. And I'd like it to be somebody that he can take with him when he goes to company events, that can explain to people, I'm sorry, that he doesn't drink. Because I think that's the other thing, is that in the military, they discourage a lot of heavy drinking, I believe, but also in the military, your importance is based on your rank. And because Onew's not a career military guy, his ranking doesn't make him the highest person in the room a lot of the time. So that pressure of being the leader and being the one that tells everybody else what to do and how to do it, that's something that is off of his shoulders. And I think the drinking, or at least the elevation in his drinking habits, is because he didn't have that outlet. He was expected to be the Rock. And he's a human being. He's made out of muscle and tissue and blood. He's not a rock. And I think he cracked, and that's what happened. He's like, I can smile, but I'm gonna be drunk while I'm smiling. So yeah, I would like him to have a personal manager who just is there to help him manage his emotions. I believe all of the members of SHINee said that they are currently in therapy. I hope he continues his therapy. I think it's a lifetime maintenance thing for him. I don't think it's one of those things where just to get you through the grief process. I think it's something that if you're going to continue to be in entertainment, you need to continue forever to be seeing a therapist, because that business is just so stressful that I don't think that you should do it on your own. I really don't think you should do it on your own. I was reading comments and I stopped and started going on a tangent. So another comment was, Ono is a wonderful leader, friend, and human to fight for bettering himself and for the future of SHINee. I really admire that about him. Facts, Isuman, money, 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 money. That's his favorite ringtone. I agree. Sosu said, honestly, bless Jonghyun's mother and sister with all my heart. I'm still keeping up with the SHINee Foundation and Rue's Instagram account because it's that piece of him beside fond memories. I catch up on Rue too. Rue is adorable. They always dress Rue in the cutest stuff, and Rue's so mischievous. I think Rue tried to run away once, but they caught her. But Rue's just so funny. She's such a sweet dog. Let's see here. Good morning. Thank you. He looks so alive. Yes, he does look much better. Musicals definitely are his scene, but yeah, it definitely depends on the environment, and the military scene suits him. I agree. Yes, the alcohol, he needs to wean himself from that. Yes, I hope he does. That's great news. The therapy is needed. Glad they're still doing it. And then Dark Angel says, I don't think he's a drunk, a good therapist, I hope. I think that using terms like drunk is unfair. Because when you think a drunk, you think of somebody stumbling through the streets, chugging from a bottle, unwashed, dirty clothes, 5 o'clock shadow, a bum. And as a person who grew up with a functioning alcoholic in my household, I can tell you people with alcohol problems don't look like people with alcohol problems. They really don't. My stepfather, who was my dad from the time I was 2 years old until I was 37, almost 38. He was a functioning alcoholic that entire time. He started drinking from the moment he woke up until he passed out to go to sleep. But he kept a full-time job for all of those years. He kept a full-time job. He was married to my mother. They had a house note they paid. They had car notes they paid. They got a daughter through college. They were grandparents. Like he drank the whole time. And he didn't stumble around the house drunk. He did not show up to work because of his drinking. He showed up to work. He operated machinery. Like, he did all the things. Being an alcoholic is not this one monolith of a type. It's not just this stumbling, bumbling, whatever. Now, granted, Onu, his problem with the lady at the club was because he was stumbling and bumbling that night. But, who knows how many times getting ready for a music show, he had a flask that he just tipped back from and then went out there. We don't know. But I think alcohol as a way to escape from pressure, that's where alcoholism begins. When alcohol becomes anything other than a source of recreation that you imbibe on a rare periodic basis, that's when it's a problem. If I go out to drink with my friends once a month, I'm not an alcoholic to most people. But if I'm drinking by myself because I had a rough day, or if I'm drinking because I'm not doing anything today, I'm bored, so let's get drunk. And I find that I'm drinking now on a frequent basis. And then it becomes, I don't feel like I can have fun until I've had a drink. Or I don't feel like I can relax until I've had a drink. And once you start relying on that alcohol, and you begin that mental reliance on the alcohol, that oftentimes is the start of addiction before the physical ever comes through. So I would never call him a drunk, but I think alcohol dependency is an issue for him. So Dark Angela says, I wonder how Koreans think about drinking because there's a lot of drinking related work and social situations. Also, every time I think about him having a diagnosis and going to psychiatrist like the one Jung went to, I start to feel panic. I definitely feel like with Onu going to a therapist, I'm certain that that therapist was vetted. I'm certain that when Shiny decided we'd like to go see somebody, they probably consulted some of their Sunbaenim and said, "Hey, you know what it's like out here. Do you have the name of someone I can trust who's not going to leak all of our business to the tabloids?" And they found somebody reliable, and that's who they're speaking with. So that I feel certain about that, and I definitely feel like after the release of Junghyun's last letter, that they would never spend any time with anyone who would talk to them the way that Junghyun was talked to. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if that would give them PTSD and they would get caught fighting that person. So I'm pretty sure that they've got a good therapist. As for drinking in Korea, Korea's weird. Korea's weird when it comes to alcohol. So, like, when you're out there with your boss and he's like, I'm going to take everybody to dinner. If the boss is drinking, you're expected to drink. And there's very few exceptions to being able to drink. So you might be able to say, well, I'm a Buddhist and we're not allowed to drink alcohol. And your boss would be like, okay, well, religion, I'll go ahead and let you go. Or you could say, I just got out of the hospital. I can't drink because of this medicine I'm on. And your boss might be like, okay, well, you can't drink. But if you don't have a medical reason or a religious reason, you can't just be like, I don't want to drink because I don't want to get drunk. No, you're expected to match your boss's drinking efforts. But it's like that with a lot of things. If you're out with the company and your boss is like, we're going to go drinking, but we're going to go drinking at a host club because I want some bitch to sit on my lap and I want to squeeze her titties. I shouldn't call her a bitch. I should call her an entertainer. You're expected to not put up a fuss if that's where they want to go and that's what they want to do. And even though the things that the people around you might be doing might go against your own moral code, you're not expected to challenge what they're doing because that's disrespectful. And seniority a lot of times takes precedence over good behavior. And so, yeah, that's one of those deals where if your boss is drinking, even if you have an alcohol problem, you better come up with a damn good excuse not to drink because you're expected to do so. And it sucks. It really sucks. Like in America, I can tell my boss, hey, I have a drinking problem, so I'd like to go out with you guys, but I can't. And if you're protest, you're firing under Americans with Disabilities Act. So you really could use the ADA and say, I am a recovering alcoholic. I was fired because I disclosed my recovering status. Therefore, I need to be compensated. Korea doesn't have that. So you can't go to your boss and say, the reason I don't want to drink with you is because I have an alcohol problem. Instead, it's like, you're weak. So yeah, it's a shame. It is a shame. But it's life. It's life, and every culture is different. I watch a lot of these Thai boys love shows because they're so sweet. They're like fanfics come to life. They're wonderful. But I see a lot of teenagers drinking in these shows. And a lot of the premises for these shows is that it'll be teens drinking one night and then one teen will say to the other, I'm sad because I broke up with my girlfriend, so I want to sleep with you even though we're two guys. Like, that is a trope in Thai boys love, and I don't understand why. But the teens in these dramas are sometimes 14, 15, 16 years old drinking. And in America, we couldn't have shows where kids are out here getting drunk and doing stuff like that. Like, there are some shows like that, but they're like on cable TV. But on like regular broadcast television, you can't have shows with 14 and 15-year-olds getting drunk and falling into bed with each other. So every culture is different. And apparently in that culture, it's okay for teen boys and girls to be out drinking. But in America, not acceptable legally. So take that what you will. Every culture is different. So Dark Angel says, that aspect of their drinking culture is one I will never understand. Being from the West and hearing that I can't refuse something I'm not comfortable with doing is something I cannot agree with. I get you. I get you completely. Like, I mean, in terms of me, you would have every right to sue your employer if they forced you into a situation like that. Like if they told you it's either go to the strip club or lose your job, you would have so many ways that attorneys could defend you in court. But it's just not like that everywhere. And that's why it feels so weird. But that goes back to another thing that people have to keep in mind. When we're looking at the Hallyu scene and we're looking at K-pop and Korean cultural norms and Korean opinions, it's exactly that. It's theirs. It is life in Korea, and it is everything having to do with life in Korea. It is the legacy of the Korean War. It is the legacy of World War II. It is the legacy of Han and, you know, deriving from a Chinese kind of outlook on things as well, and, you know, different invaders and everything else that's ever happened since Korea was Joseon. All of that is what makes current Korean society. And as Korea's entertainment exports make it become more and more international, Samsung phones and televisions and Kia cars and Hyundai and all this other stuff may be all over the world, but the people who live there still live with the ideology and the beliefs of all of the generations that raised them before without international input. And that's why a lot of the misogyny and a lot of the judgment and some of the other things that we see, when you're a part of a Western audience, it looks crazy to you. It looks, don't do that. You're going to tip salt all over the place.
Okay.
Reach your hand in. Sorry about that. My daughter was about to sprinkle sugar salt all over her blanket. Anyway. We're raised with all of the things that our culture tells us. I was raised in America. I spent some time in Germany, but for the most part, I've lived in America most of my life. And because of that, when I think about, you know, all the things that I grew up with, a lot of stuff in Korea seems crazy to me, but there's a lot of stuff that comes around here that most Koreans would be like, you're insane if you think that that's right. So you can't lay your norms on them. There are certain things that in this world are right and wrong, and almost every culture can agree is right and wrong. Most cultures believe children should be protected. Most cultures believe that violence is wrong. But the gap in between the rest of the stuff that we share or don't share is enormous. And so it's just really hard for me to get as upset when Korean people don't like something, because that's them. Like straight up, that's them. And I don't live there. I don't pay taxes there. I don't contribute to their economy other than purchasing CDs. So I can't really fault them for what they do and don't like. But if they want this international cash, they might want to wake up a little bit. Okay, so let's see. In Europe, the legal drinking law just moved up to 18. I grew up 15 and legally drinking. My daughter's gonna be 15 next month. I can't. Oh my gosh. Could you imagine if the drinking age in America was 15?
Mm-hmm.
That would mean like in a month you'd be drinking.
I want to.
No. Why don't you tell that to your dad?
No.
Exactly. Why would you try to get me to help you drink when you know good and damn well you wouldn't ask him if he could drink?
Well, that's because he's him.
We still live in the U.S. Wait till you're 18.
Well, if you took me to a place...
I'm not taking you to a place. You live here. 18. Okay. Their reaction to weed is also crazy to me. I don't know how weed is governed in Europe, but we live in Colorado where it's weed all over the place. So I'm not as shook about weed anymore either, but I do believe that there should be laws about driving while under the influence of weed. And since there's currently no test for it, it's very dicey. Next, that is true. Even though I don't agree with many mindsets or aspects of Korean culture, K-pop fans need to realize that and not force their ideals on the regular population of their society. Agree? All societies are different and have different norms. Agreed. And then somebody laughed about the fact that you said I want to and I said no. But it's true though. You're not drinking. I don't know what. No. No. Not only that, but this is going out live on the internet. What would I look like being on the internet talking about, yes, underage child, you can drink? No. No. Not at all. I mean, to be honest with you, alcohol doesn't even really taste that good.
I know, but like when you mix it up with things, it tastes less gross.
You know what tastes less gross? The things you mix it with. Why don't you just get you a big bottle of that? You know, if tequila
Well,
tastes...
then it wouldn't be fun anymore.
What's fun about alcohol?
That it's alcohol.
That's so dumb. That's like saying cigarettes are fun because they're cigarettes. Now, they taste better if you vape and you add grape flavor to it, but still, cigarettes are fun because they're cigarettes. That's dumb. That's dumb. Your logic here is flawed. You...
Well, maybe sometimes people just want to be sauced.
Do you even know what that means?
Yes.
Don't ever have kids. Don't ever have kids. It's a bad move for all of us. These are the trials. This is what it's like to rear kids. It's logic that makes no logic. Why'd you eat that whole bag of candy? Because it was candy! Yes, but it was a 1 pound bag of candy. But it was candies! So, Eugenia says, I agree, alcohol is gross. All my friends think I'm weird for not drinking. And then Celine says, Germany, you're allowed to drink with 16, limited alcohol like beer. But growing up in African household, you not come home drunk. Agreed. And then Random Chibi says, wait till you're older for that. Alcohol sounds better than it tastes. And that's true. Oh, man, I hate beer. I hate beer. I don't drink it ever. Ever. On nothing. I never drink beer. If I drink alcohol, I drink liquor. And I drink liquor because I like to feel numb sometimes. But I had a period not that long after we moved in here, because we've been in here for 2 years now. And I had a period of time when I was living here that I was like drinking every night. And I was drinking every night because I couldn't go to sleep. Like, I would try to go to sleep and my mind wouldn't shut off, and I would be up until like 1, sometimes 2 in the morning. And I would drink to make myself sleepy so I could go to bed. So the drowsy sensation you get from alcohol was what I really liked. But then one day, I was drinking at night, getting ready to go to sleep, and all of a sudden I had just a really weird episode. I don't know what happened, but all of a sudden I couldn't breathe. And it hit me so strong that I thought that like I was gonna die. Like I literally could not catch my breath. I was gasping for air. And then all of a sudden, as I'm walking to Stephanie's bedroom to wake her up because I'm feeling like I'm having this medical emergency, I pass out. And I pass out hardcore. Like I pass out and I wake up on the ground. I'm able to breathe. I go to get up from the ground and I pass out again and fall out again on the ground. I broke my glasses. I blacked my eye from falling out twice. And I may have fallen out more times. I don't know. I like broke the container that we keep our shoes in. I broke my glasses. I bruised my eye. And after that, I was like, you know what? It stops today. And I'll do live streams every once in a while where I'll have something to drink. But in between the live streams where I am shown drinking, I hardly drink at all. Yeah, Stephanie, I don't drink that much because I don't want to ever go back to that moment. Like, that was really scary for me. I remember after waking up on the ground, one of my first thoughts was, what if I had died and Stephanie would have woken up to find my dead body in the living room? And I don't want that ever to happen. So that's the reason why I'm just like, no, don't want that. Don't want that. I'm so glad you decided to contribute to the live stream. See, I don't bite. I'm not mean. But yeah, I didn't want to have that happen. I didn't want to go out like that. I'll put it that way. So that's the reason why I would never just drink anymore. Like every once in a while is fine, but I have a bottle of alcohol that I've had now for a couple of years. I just don't drink it that much because I can't do it. I can't do it. Yeah. It's not, health issues are a thing you have to keep forefront in your mind. There's a lot of stuff we like in this world. We all like sugar and we all like fat and we all like, you know, lots of red meat and salt and all those things, but there's a real toll to pay on your body for these things. And that was why at the beginning of this year, I went vegetarian. Now, that doesn't mean that every once in a while I don't have meat, because the flesh is weak. And there's times when like I'll want to try something that I've either never tried before or it's been forever since I've had it, and then I will have a little bit of meat. Prime example, yesterday me and Stephanie went to this donut spot here in Colorado called Hertz Donut. And if you're familiar with English, there's this joke called do you want a Hertz donut? And somebody will say, yeah, I want a Hertz donut. And you punch him in the shoulder and go, Hurt, donut. Get it? Hurts, donut. Hurts, doesn't it? It's an English joke. Anyway, we went to this donut place called Hertz Donuts. And they sell actual donuts there. Well, they had something I haven't had since I left Texas, and that is kolaches. And kolaches are these kind of yeasty, sweet bread rolls that have a sausage in the middle. And they had jalapeno cheese kolaches. I haven't had a kolache in well over 2 years. And even though I'm vegetarian, I used to tear up some meat, and I definitely used to tear up kolaches. So I tore off a corner piece of a kolache and I tried it just to see if it tasted the same as what I haven't had in forever, because that is a strong East Texas thing, and it tasted exactly the way I remembered it. The bread was the same texture, the sausage was good. Hey Miranda, everything was on point, and I was like, oh my gosh, it's been so long. But I didn't eat the whole thing. Stephanie ate the rest of it because, again, I'm off this meat shit. I really am. But it was one of those things that if there was a vegan option or a vegetarian option, I would have picked that up. But all they had was the meat option. And I wanted to have that memory brought back to me. And then, like,
check.
And then another time we went to the Asian market. And they had a deli section in the Asian market where they had, like, ducks hanging up on a pole and all kinds of stuff, and they had bao, and I wanted to try bao because I haven't had bao in forever. So I did get a barbecue bao, and you know, it was barbecue bao, but there wasn't a lot of it. I tried it to satisfy curiosity, and then I moved on. But 24/7 for the most part, it's all Veggie Tales around here. Like, what do we have? Last night we had yakisoba, so I had veggie yakisoba with fried tofu. And then for lunch we had our Christmas party at work, and I had green beans, spinach salad, wedge salad, and potatoes au gratin. And then for breakfast most days I'll have some kind of egg and cheese something, because even though I'm vegetarian, I'm ovo vegetarian, so I do eat eggs. But yeah, since the beginning of this year, actually the tail end of 2018 through all of 2019, I have been vegetarian. And I'm ovo, like I said, I'm ovo dairy vegetarian, so I do eat eggs and I do consume dairy. Next year I'm hoping to give up dairy. Yeah, I very rarely eat meat anymore. I've probably had a couple handfuls of times over the past year, and I'm talking breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snack, only maybe a couple handfuls of time over the last year where I've indulged in meat. And it's either been because there was literally nothing else to eat and I wasn't going to starve, or it was because I was curious about something and I'm like, okay, the meat option is the only option, so I will try that. But yeah, it's just, I've been sticking to it because health is everything. And if you can't have health, then what have you really got? How can you enjoy K-pop if you're gasping for breath? And you know, I've got a kid, I gotta stay alive for her, so somebody's got to eat well around here. And it's not her eating candy in the morning. That's right, I put you on blast. You're eating candy in the morning.
Because it's candy.
Again with the logic. This is what I mean when I was telling them, like, kids will sit up and eat a bag of candy. You're like, why'd you eat the bag of candy? Because it's candy. That's exactly who you are. That is exactly who you are. I've got a refrigerator full of rice and other fun stuff for you to eat. And what do you want? Candy. It's a mess. It's a shame. But yeah, I totally went off on a tangent. Onu's birthday. That's what we started this conversation with. Let's keep going. Onu's birthday. So today is Onu's birthday.
Birthday.
I know, we're so happy. Today is Onu's birthday here in America. Yesterday was Onu's birthday in Korea. And I am so grateful that he's here. I really am. I take joy in seeing his lovely face. He has the best smile in all of K-pop. Fight me if you wanna. He does have like the best smile because it just feels like it starts from the heels of his feet and reaches up through his soul into his face. So I love him dearly, and I'm so glad that he's doing well. And one last thing that's not ONU related that I'm going to talk about because it's still ongoing and I'm exhausted, honestly. I really wish that things would get over, but produce. So apparently another report has come out that says that Jonghyun from New East should have been in the original lineup for Wanna One, but he was manipulated out of the group. Jinyuk from Uptension should have been in the group, but he was manipulated out. And Johan should have been the first or the number one. He should not have been the number one spot. It should have been Usuk. We all have known this. We're not. This is not new information as far as most of us have believed and thought. But I have to ask the question: what is the end game on this? And I'm not saying this with a lack of sympathy to anyone else. Like, I really am not. I legitimately want to know what is the end game here. Is all of this information being released as a setup for those people who were kept out of the group to get financial compensation from Mnet? Is that what we're doing here? Is this to vilify the kids who made it into the group? Is it to try to get these certain group of producers up out of the entertainment business? What is the washout on this? That I don't know. All we've got is IZ*ONE floundering because they can't promote an album that they've already recorded and a video they've already shot. We've got X1 floundering because they can't promote their debut. They can't go on any music shows. They can't go to any award shows. Same with IZ*ONE. And it's this weird kind of like blame game between companies and producers and the kids and all kinds of stuff. And I just want to know, like, what is the washout on this? Are we saying that we're not going to do another season of Produce? Like, that's really what a lot of us are waiting to hear about is like, is this the end of Produce? Say it officially. I don't care. I mean, Produce was infuriating. You know how many times I came on here talking about how much I could not stand the way that Produce was going and how I felt like certain people were moving up that didn't deserve to. So at this point, now that we know that my feelings were justified because this whole thing was fucking rigged, what is the end game? What are we doing? You know, and it makes me wonder if that's the reason why international fans could never vote. Like, I have a theory that the reason why international fans were never allowed to vote for Produce was not because they didn't want our input. It was because they were charging for votes and they weren't going to get into a lawsuit with international fans from all over the world because they were manipulating everything. And so that's my personal judgment. I think that they were like, we can run this Ponzi scheme in Korea if we want to, but we cannot get caught swindling people across the globe because then we'll really be in some trouble as we get sued in various nations. So that's my personal belief about the reason why international fans were never allowed to vote for things when it comes to Produce. But again, we're here now. X1 is a thing. IZ*ONE is a thing. 101 was a thing. IOI was a thing. What is the end game here? I don't know. And I really want to know because like a lot of things in K-pop that remain unsolved, I would like this to have some kind of closure. So my hope is that the police will actually indict some people. Some people will be charged. Some cases will be closed. The facts from these cases will be revealed, and those people who should have been in certain groups will then file their lawsuit against Mnet for lost profits. They will receive the money they were supposed to have previously, and then we can all let this shit go. I wish that CJ&M, I believe it's CJ&M who is currently the label for X1, or is it Swing Entertainment? Which one is it? I don't remember. My nose is starting to run. Sorry about that. My nose is starting to run. I'm not gonna blow up my nose. I need to stop it from dripping down my face. Swing. Okay, so it's Swing Entertainment. I wish Swing Entertainment would go ahead and release X1 from their contract. Like, just dissolve the group. And I'm not saying that to hurt any One-Its, because I don't feel that way. Like, I do not dislike the kids in X1. I'm not a fan of Dong Pyo, but you guys know that.
Who's Dong Pyo?
He's annoying. That's what he is. But
You
I
don't know Dong Pyo personally.
No, but I mean, if he's pretending to be annoying, he's the best actor on earth. Anyway, I'm digressing. Just let them go. Let them go. Let them start over. Do whatever they're going to do. Because to be honest, this group has been cursed from day one. The minute Jinhyuk didn't make it into the group, everything fell apart for them. Everyone, like the minute after, it was...
Down to my core. Use my shoddy, I thought. It's a Post Malone song.
Gas. I don't have anything to throw at you, but go away. Go away. Anyway, bad taste aside, X1 needs to be... Yes, she was singing a Post Malone song. Bad taste aside, I would like to see X1 dissolved. Not because I hate them, but because I feel like they can't do anything. And if they can't do anything, you have to let them go. You can't keep them around just to be like, well, we haven't given up yet. You're not saving anybody's face here. And these kids have a real chance of succeeding outside of the group. But there is always going to be this kind of thing over their head if they're in X1. There's always going to be people who don't want to work with them. You know, a lot of people don't recall this because they don't do music industry 101 classes. But when it comes to the Korean pop industry, very few groups make money off of the release of albums. That is the reason why a group like EXO can promote once or twice a year. It's not because they don't like money. It's because the money is the advertisement to companies that we can push units. So let us advertise your skincare products, your cars, your beer, your soda, your candy, your seaweed, your mattresses, whatever you want us to sell. Look at our album sales, see how many people are actually paying attention to us, and then hire us to do your commercials. That's what music sales are for. And a group like X1, the record sales are cool, but they're supposed to be a commercial traffic vehicle. They're supposed to be in X1 so that they can get endorsements to drink beer, drive cars, sell you seaweed, sell you snacks, sell you drinks, sell you cosmetics. If these boys have this taint on them because they were a manufactured group that was done through some kind of manipulation, no one's going to want to put these boys within 1,000 feet of their product. And the album sales aren't going to be enough to turn a profit for Swing Entertainment. So that's the reason why they should dissolve the group, because then at least these kids could get involved in other projects at other companies or wherever else, or in other groups, and possibly then be attached to CFs and stuff like that. But as long as those boys are involved with the name X1, they don't have a chance. They do not stand a chance. So break up the group. Same thing with IZ*ONE. IZ*ONE obviously is very much manipulated, so a lot of people don't want anything to do with them. Go ahead and break up the group. It sucks. It really sucks. But IZ*ONE is not going to make enough money in Japan and endorsements in Japan to support as large of a group as it is. Because they're popular. Don't get me wrong. They're very popular. But they need the endorsement money. And I don't think that Japanese companies want to spend the money because the group is a majority Korean group. And right now, Korea and Japan are fighting it out. They're like really on some like next level war type shit almost. They're not like sending bombs at each other, but they're playing this kind of like, well, we're not going to buy Korean products because Korea won't let this comfort woman thing go. And Korea's like, well, we're not going to vacation in Japan because Japan needs to give us reparations for whatever. Like, they're on this shit right now. And because they're on this bullshit right now, there's no Japanese company that's going to want a group of majority Korean girls advertising their products when Korea and Japan hate each other right now. So that's why I'm saying, like, just disband everything and let people go on to projects that don't have that taint. Just let it go. Just let it go. Especially because Japanese netizens are probably pissed off that they had idols sent to Korea to do this show, and the show is fucking rigged up so that only 3 Japanese people were going to get in. They probably had picked them from the very beginning, so it wasted a bunch of people's time to be flying back and forth from Korea to Japan when they were going to make it into the group anyway. And it was just a chance for people to make fun of them. So yeah, when you take that into account, I'm sure they're ready to have this shit over with too. I think that the 3 Japanese girls who made it into IZ*ONE should form their own company, do like a perfume type theme. That would be amazing, like Perfume 2.0. That'd be fucking awesome. But yeah, do your own thing. The other girls are all involved with different entertainment companies. Do your own thing as well. Maybe go into acting. But yeah, just disband. Just disband so that they have opportunities to live the remainder of their lives. Especially, what's her face? Can't remember her name now. Fuck. The one really cute girl whose name I cannot remember. I'm gonna look her up because I have to know her name. Ooh, I forgot I had that tabbed up. Hey. Ah, there he is. Yujin. Okay. So, Yujin from IZ*ONE. She is currently 16 years old. She dropped out of school to do the entertainment thing. And her parents were like, yeah, this is cool. No problem. What do you need school for anyway? You're going to be a huge star in the entertainment world. Let that baby go back to school. Let her go back to school. I have not heard that Wonyoung is out of school, but Wonyoung is 15 years old. She literally just turned 15 at the end of August. Let that baby go back to school. Like, seriously, let that baby go back to school. Let these super young girls in this group go back to school. Because some of these girls are babies. They are not even juniors in high school. Well, in American juniors, 11th grade, grade 11. What is the grading system in Europe? I don't know. Anyway, they're young.
Primary school, secondary school, college, university.
What's the difference between college and university in Europe?
Well, college in Europe isn't the same as university because college is like, I guess, the last 2 or 3 years of high school.
Ah, okay. But yeah, a lot of these children in this group are super young. We should allow them to go back to school because they're really too young to give up their lives like this. So, let them go back to school. Let them pursue entertainment a bit later. Maybe go back to trainee status, but definitely give them a chance because all this time that IZ*ONE, so Random TV says college is like a transition to university. And then Dark Angel says college is a university of applied scientists and university is more academic and research based. Yeah, see, like in America, the difference between college and university is years. So if you go to college is a 2-year school and university is a 4-year school. So like most people call colleges here in America what they call community college. So usually college is local, college costs less, and when you graduate from college, you have what they call a 2 year degree. So it's not a bachelor's, it's kind of a certification. Whereas if you go to university, university is a 4 year degree and you graduate with a bachelor's of. So it'd be like a bachelor's of science, a bachelor's of arts, a bachelor's of math, or whatever else. So that's the difference between college and university in America. But like for those of you in Europe who are super familiar, children, almost every child in the United States goes to what we call kindergarten, which starts once you turn 5 years old. And you do.
Or la maternelle for you French speakers.
And kindergarten is basically glorified daycare. So,
but like for big boys.
Yeah, so you go to kindergarten and you learn your ABCs in kindergarten most of the time.
And then some.
And in America, sometimes kindergarten is a half day. So most children in America go to school from around 7:30 in the morning to around 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And in kindergarten, sometimes the kids only go to school from about 7:30 or 8 o'clock in the morning to noon, which is 12 in the afternoon, and then they go home the rest of the day. And then after that, we begin primary school, which is first, second, third, fourth, fifth. And I'm stopping at fifth grade because we have two middle schools. So some schools have middle school, which is sixth, seventh, and eighth. Then some people have junior high, where primary school ends at sixth grade and junior high is seventh and eighth grade. Middle school and junior high serve the exact same function. It's just when the grade level starts. So it can go either way. But because most kids start kindergarten when they're 5 years old, and that means first grade is 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So you're 10 years old in the fifth grade. Most people start middle school either when they're 11 or 12. So you're in middle school from either the time you're 11 in your sixth grade or the time you're 12, seventh grade. High school is the same across the board.
You start when you're 14.
Everyone does a 4 year high school. So high school consists of 9, 10, 11, and 12th grades. And the colloquial terms for those grades are freshman, sophomore, junior, senior. And so you start high school usually when you're 14 years old. And most people graduate high school when they're 18. I actually graduated from high school when I was 17 years old. Because my birthday started at the beginning of the year. And so I was like young for all of school. And yeah, that's how that happened. One thing that America does really differently than most countries, which I wish that we would do it, I wish they would change this because it would save so many people so many headaches and would get our workforce so much more energized. From what I understand, in most European countries, middle school is where you determine kind of what arc you're going to take educationally. So people who are going to be doing trades begin to get on the trades track. People who are going to be doing academic work tend to get on the academic track. If you're going to be doing work in the arts, you get on an art track. That's not true in America. In America, you have until practically the last day of senior year to decide what the hell you want to do.
And even after that, you can decide.
Even after that, you can float. You can enter university at any age. You're not capped.
Your major could be undecided.
Yeah, you could take a gap year or you could take a gap decade if you want to. But the problem that I see with that is that a lot of people, because it's human nature, like to work towards a goal. So a lot of people like to start something knowing that you can end up here. And in America, that's not the case. And a lot of times we're like, anything you want to accomplish is yours. You can have any dream you want. Anything is possible.
No.
It's kind of that way. And the problem with that is when kids go to school and they don't have a direction that they're headed for that's concrete, a lot of the times they get lost. Now, it doesn't happen as much with like wealthy students because their parents kind of tell them, you're going to go to Harvard and you're going to major in law because as the third of the Epsilon clan, We expect you to take over our business when you become older.
You are going to go into engineering.
Yeah.
You're going to go to Colorado College for Mines.
Because you're going to take over the family business when Archibald passes away.
Archibald. Who's Archibald?
An old name. So a lot of time, wealthier students have parents who have talked to them early on, and they've privately began a career track, either through extra tutoring or, volunteering in certain places, internships, that kind of thing. They've already been taken to where they need to go. Most middle income and lower income students don't have parents that can afford to give them private tutoring, private career consults, private resources. And so for a kid who comes from nothing, and in school they're teaching you Shakespeare and quantum physics and underwater basket weaving and
underwater basket
and lunch. They're teaching you these classes. When you get out of high school, you're directionless. And if you can't afford college or university, because in America you pay for those things, they are not free. If you can't afford college or university, your parents don't have money to send you, you don't have the grades to have a scholarship to do anything, your professional career starts the minute you leave school, and you have no professional training. You have an academic training, and an academic training doesn't suit you for anything because it's the same academic training everybody else has. So being able to recite Kipling or being able to paraphrase the tale of the telltale heart is not going to help you on a job application. So you have a lot of kids in America who graduate from high school directionless. Now, at the same time, I know that graduating or being forced in middle school to determine what the rest of your life is going to be, that's harsh. Because I wouldn't trust a 12 or 13-year-old to know shit about their future. Because to me, you're still a baby. But at the very minimum, maybe you can start on a path and after a year or so realize it's not for you and maybe start somewhere else, or maybe you could get on one track and find something that's still in that pool, but maybe more specified to what you should be doing and get on there. But at least you have some direction. Whereas in America, we leave you out there to figure it out once high school is over.
You don't, son.
Yeah, so I mean, it frustrates me to no end, and that's why ever since Stephanie was very young, I've always talked to her about, like, what are you going to do when you get older? What are you going to do when you get older?
Get a realistic job.
Yes, actually. Yes. Yes. When Stephanie was tiny and she's like, I want to be a singer when I grow up. I'm like, you don't sing that good. You should pick something else. I'm going to be a writer when I grow up. You don't write that good. You should pick something else. And I know for you guys hearing this, you're like, wow, what a bitch. How dare you? But to be fair, I've watched many, many, many years of American Idol. And I've seen a lot of people show their ass auditioning for American Idol or X Factor by parents who told them all along, you're the best. You can sing so well. Everybody loves you. And then you get out there and you make an ass of yourself because no one told you the truth. Are people who spend their life believing that they're going to be some superstar because fame is the only career that the media will feed them, and they don't realize there's so many more people behind the scenes that make so much money, and it's actually attainable if you would just open your eyes and see the support staff. And so my current encouragement for Stephanie has been speech therapy.
Speech therapy.
And let me tell you why. Because Stephanie, unlike myself, is good with language.
Yes, I am.
And not good with language like writing stories. She still should never be an author. But good with language in terms of, like, she picks up a lot of the rules and grammar of foreign languages. And foreign to me because I speak English. Like, she does really well with her Spanish. She speaks small amounts of other languages, like French. She can read some Arabic characters. She currently can read Korean characters. she's good at things. She's good. We can walk through IKEA and she's like, oh, I know what that word means. And I'm like, what?
Because
Why?
it's so similar to Norwegian. Because like Swedish is not that far off from Norwegian. Well, it is kind of, but with the way they're spelled, they really do sort of seem similar. So when I'm looking at meatballs in the Swedish language, I can't really pronounce it like the Swedish pronounce it, but in Norwegian it's sort of spelled the same. So it's like meatball.
So with her having this, her personal, not something that I forced, with her personal interest in language, what I have encouraged her to do is look at linguistics as a course of study. But if you want to make money and make a lot of money so that you have cash to travel, have a lifestyle, stuff like that, speech therapy. Because one of the things that Stephanie is also really good at is that she's really good at being able to like make her mouth make certain sounds. And so because she's able to do that, I'm like, how do you know? And she's like, well, because this is a sound that's at the back of the throat, or this is a sound that comes from the sides, or you push your tongue up so that you can click it against the back of your teeth. All of those rules and stuff, she does that for fun. And I'm like, speech therapy would be amazing for you because people who require speech therapy, they need to learn the rules of speech. And speech starts at different places inside of your body. Speech starts at the front of your teeth. Speech starts in the back of your throat. Speech is the way your tongue moves. It is the alignment of your teeth. It's the way you move your lips. All of that is what makes speech. So because all of that is what makes speech, I feel like it would be great for her to learn it in an academic setting, but also to help other people learn it. And that comes from her coming home talking about the stupid kids in my Spanish class won't roll their R's. And it's not tortilla, it's tortilla. And they just won't even
you
try.
learned this the first year of Spanish, that the double L is pronounced y or j. It's not that hard. It really isn't. Y'all just don't want to try. And every time I hear somebody saying hablar, did you not go to Spanish class? Why are you in a high school Spanish class if you never learned how to pronounce things the Spanish way? What are you going to do when you take that trip to Cancun with your family and you want to say, me gusta hablar? They're going to look at you like you're a crazy person.
Do you hear this right here? This is the reason I said, you need to learn how to teach people to talk. You get so fucking frustrated that people don't do it right. You need to learn how to teach people to talk. So that is the reason why I encourage her for speech therapy and studying linguistics, because I feel like it's something that she's already interested in. It's something that she has a passion for, as you can hear. And it's something that she can make a viable living out of. But has the school stepped in to help with any of that?
Nope.
Absolutely not.
They don't have any like linguistic focused classes.
No, they haven't done shit to help out with that. The only thing that they do that helps out at all is that Stephanie can take language courses. So she's been taking Spanish for the last 3 years.
Yeah.
She's been taking Spanish for the last 3 years. And then I don't know how many more Spanish classes are left that she can take at the high school.
So this year, next year, and the year after that, and then the Spanish courses are really over. But then you can do like the extra ones, like Spanish literature and Spanish culture. So
yeah, so that's really all they have. They don't have a speech therapy class or a linguistics class or, you know, the anatomy of vocal cords or anything like that to help her in high school. And that's the reason why kids in America have a hard time succeeding after high school, because the school gives them an education that was based off of the education of the elites in the 17 and 1800s. A lot of y'all don't know that, but in America, the model that we use for education is based on the education that only the wealthiest families could have back in the old days. Because in the old days, people didn't go to school. Most people were illiterate. The only people who went to school were people who could afford to go to school. And back when my grandparents were small, most people didn't go to school to high school. Most people went to school to elementary just enough so that they can read. And if you lived an agrarian lifestyle where you were a farmer or you worked in the fields or with animals, you had these different growing and mating seasons that you could not be in school for because you needed to work the land. And you would need your kids to come out of school to help you work this land. And so a lot of the education that people get when they're young is very applicable education. It is learning to read, learning to write, learning math. The education after primary school is all based on the education that rich, noble people had, which was literature and art and history and political science and biology and stuff like that. And all that's well and good, but very few jobs you have are going to require you to have that broad of a knowledge of all academic topics.
Yeah, the only like really career focused courses we have at the school is I think a business class that you can take, or business courses that you can take, and then there's also an engineering course you can take.
Yeah, but other than that, everything is, very broad, and English literature and, romanticism in the 1800s, stuff like that you really you can't use that unless you're going to be a career trivia player.
I don't care about Cask of Amontillado.
That's a good story, though. I am a Mason. But anyway, yeah, like that, it's not an education that is useful for the everyday. I don't use any of that stuff. And I'm 40 years old. I've never worked a job where I used any of that. I've only used that stuff when I've watched Jeopardy or Wheel of Fortune. That's it. So yeah, it's this really outdated, outmoded system that we're using. And really we need to be looking to countries like Europe, like China, like India, and seeing kind of what they're teaching in their schools, kind of the way that they're focusing people to be educated. There's a lot that America can learn, but we refuse to because we believe that we're the best, and that's the reason why the world is shitting on us right now.
This is the best country in the nation.
Boo! Now, I will say I don't believe in memorization education, that whole like remember this entire textbook because I'm going to quiz you on page 87 word for word, like that kind
Semester
of education.
Finals.
Yeah, that kind of education I don't believe in, but I believe in a thinking and applied education, and I think that's a model that we need to have more of in America that we don't have. We're getting there, though. Here in Colorado, they have a sciences high school that you could go to, where if you plan to have a career in medical sciences, you could go there and you can start learning a lot more about anatomy and body science and rules for hygiene in medical practice. But yeah, that is it's tough. And Stephanie has homework. In Finland, they don't have homework, apparently. Stephanie has homework. She has books that she has to read when she gets home. She has forms that she has to fill out. She doesn't have as much homework as she will have. Every year it gets worse and worse. And in college, I had so much homework. Oh my gosh. College was devastating.
So, for homework this week,
I have no idea how I found your daddy.
You have a final essay.
Mm-hmm.
And this essay has to be turned in at approximately 11:59 p.m. Anything after that, I will count as a 0. No, I will not give you a late grade, unfortunately. So get those essays in.
Yeah, it's homework. It's homework season. So it is interesting. It is interesting the way that every school is a little bit different. I don't know how we got on this tangent of talking about schools. Like, where were we before? What were we doing with our lives before we got to this education talk?
Grade school?
I don't know. I think I was talking about IS1. I was talking about the members of IS1 who are in school, and then we got off on a tangent about school. I digressed. That is the reason why my lives are like an hour, 2 hours long. It's not because it takes me forever to talk about one topic. It's because I go on a mental journey every single time I host a live. Like, if you start a live stream with me and I'm talking about Cheetos, by the time we're done, I'm talking about crutches. Like, I do this number whenever we're having a conversation because I just can't. I do not have ADD. I just am one of those people that I follow the rabbit hole. Ergo, the reason why I watch Boys Love to this day, because I followed a fucking rabbit hole. I was on Twitter and I was noticing Rosario was tweeting about this one guy from a Boys Love series, and I'm like, I need to know more about this guy. Oh, this is the series he's famous for. I need to watch this series. Oh, there's this other guy. Oh, I need to check their Instagrams. Oh, my drama list. They have more information. Oh, these are recommended. Rabbit hole, rabbit hole, rabbit hole.
They
That's
used
me.
Cask of Amontillado in Adventure Time.
Ooh, that's a good story. Good morning. So yeah, that is how I end up on here ranting and raving for 2 hours because I go down these travel trails that lead to nowhere. They're just more of the same. Oh, homework. Since some of y'all don't have homework at the schools you go to, I'm gonna give some homework to you. So the homework for the day is watching a music video by a group called JXR, and the name of the song is Element. The reason why that's the homework for you today is because Yuri from Produce and a guy named, I think his name is Bakejin, I don't know, both of them are in this group, and you need to watch this because it is terrible, and that is why it is my homework. So Yuri from Produce 48, I have kind of a love-hate with him. He is a major fuckboy, but at the same time, he's so self-aware of that it makes him charming. Like, he's like, yeah, I know ladies are checking. I know I'm hot. And it's just like, you infuriate me, but it's just so funny. Anyway, he is a part of this group. They have debuted. Their song is called Element, and it is the worst thing ever. I would play it for you, but I caught a copyright strike from my last live video because I was playing Crush's song Ibiza. But in the song, I don't know if it's just because like there's a law in Korea that says if you have a low budget video, your camera quality has to be shitty. The camera quality is shitty. Like, it's bad camera quality. But also, the song sounds warped. Thank you, Rosalind. The song sounds like somebody played it on a cassette tape, but the cassette tape was left in the sun, so it kind of like changes keys and speed every once in a while. It is the most bizarre thing I have heard in a really long time. And apparently they promoted this show on a music show, or promoted the song on a music show. I haven't watched it because the video was jarring enough, but I want to give it to you to watch because the video is super low budget. Their outfits are corny as hell. Yuri is totally trying to eye fuck the camera, and that is hilarious to me. And the song is fucking terrible. And so all these make for K-pop gold. So please watch that. As for Boys Love series, I'm watching because I'm just gonna start doing this. Since I'm not reviewing the shows, I'm just gonna give updates on like these are the Boys Love series I'm currently watching. I'm currently watching Until We Meet Again. I'm currently watching Dark Blue Kiss, and I'm currently watching Farm Type. Farm Type has 2 episodes left, so we're about to wrap this bitch up. And it's gotten to a dark place because the real villain of the show is about to be seen. I'm still not here for the incest brothers. I never will be, but that's okay because we get very little of them. It's more about torture and sadisticness than anything else. Dark Blue Kiss, I'm extremely annoyed at Pete. And who is it talking to online? Shit, I need to DM them. That way we can keep our conversation going elsewhere. But I was talking to somebody else online about how much I dislike Pete from Dark Blue Kiss. So for those of you who aren't watching, I'm just going to give you a rundown here. So there's this couple, Pete and Kao. And K-A-O, Kao.
Cow.
Bitch, I'm a cow. Bitch, I'm a cow. Anyway,
Moo.
there's Pete and Kao. Pete is rich. His dad owns a big company. He's got all the money in the world. He's got no brothers and sisters, so he gets to spend all of his daddy's money. Fun, fun, fun. Cal has a single mother. His sister is studying in America. His mother works as a teacher at the university that he studies at. And they're always tight for money because she's literally the only source of income. So he does tutoring on the side to help fund his sister's accommodations in America, to help pay some bills here and there. Well, his mother's employer, who is the dean of the school, asked Cal to tutor his son, Non. And so Cal was like, okay, I will do this because my mother's boss asked me to do this as a favor. And he's talked about giving my mother a promotion. So this will be good for our entire household if I help out here. And Nun is this young high school kind of kid. He's really super cocky, and Pete dislikes him right off the bat. It's like, I don't like this kid. He gives me bad vibes. He's mad disrespectful. Stay away from him. And Cal's like, I'm tutoring him. And Pete's like, I don't want you tutoring him. I don't like him. You guys need to not be around each other. And Cal, people forget this in recent episodes, but Cal has been telling Pete, I need to do this because my mom needs the money. You know my sister is studying in America. You know this is my mom's boss. If I turn down this tutoring gig, this could cost my family money. This could make him think poorly about my mom and cost her her job. Like, there's too much tied up in our finances for me to do something because you call yourself being mad and jealous over somebody. Pete doesn't listen to this. He's just like, quit tutoring him. So Cal starts sneaking around and tutoring Non. Well, Non, because Non is ultra competitive with Pete, when Pete wins the About a Boys contest, which I'm not even going to get into that whole thing, Non's like, I'm going to break them up. So he has this personalized cup that Pete had made for Cal, and he returns it to Cal because Cal left it at the table during one of their tutoring sessions. He's like, here, you left this the last time we were talking to each other. And then there's a Facebook that shows like them sitting at a table during the tutoring session. So of course, Pete's like, I thought I told you not to tutor him. We're breaking up. And everyone in the comments is like, we knew this was gonna happen, Cal. You should have listened to Pete. Why would you lie to him? And I was thinking about this as a rational adult. And I was thinking to myself, they're right about one thing. You shouldn't have lied to Pete. There was no reason for that. But you should have told him the real truth. And the real truth is, listen, you spoiled ingrate. Just because your daddy can do everything you need to have done, and you have the luxury of failing classes and half-ass trying and doing whatever the fuck you want because there'll always be money for you. The rest of us live in the real world. And until you can pay for my sister in America, and you can pay all of my mom's bills, and you can pay for me to go to school, you need to shut the hell up. I do what I want. I make money from my house. I make money. I'm responsible. You're not responsible for shit. You don't even do your own homework. So who the fuck do you think you are to tell me what the fuck I could do? And if this was a relationship between a man and a woman, and a man said, I don't want you to tutor Greg because Greg wants to sleep with you and you're my woman, I would tell that girl, I would tell that girl the same thing. I'd be like, fuck him. Is he paying your bills? Is he getting you good grades? Is he doing anything to contribute to your lifestyle? If not, fuck him, continue tutoring, do what you need to do, because at the end of the day, that is how you get paid. So yeah, I was fucking pissed. And I just, dark blue kiss. Dark blue kiss. I was also pissed at Sun and Mork. Sun and Mork made me so mad. So Sun runs a coffee shop, and his brother is named Rain. Sun and Rain. Get it? His brother is named Rain, and Rain and his friend Mork are engineering students. Sun has graduated already. And they got in a fight with some people. Now, the people that they got in a fight with, it was justified. These guys were going to, like, basically rape this girl, and they fought the guys off in order to give her a chance to escape. But because both of them got beat up, Sun was like, Mork, you're a bad influence on my brother. I want you to stop fighting so much. And Mork keeps getting into these fights, but Mork is never the instigator. These people fight him because he looks like he can fight. And finally, one day when Sun was at a coffee roasting competition,
Coffee roasting competition?
those are real things. There's like Barista of the Year award and all kinds of stuff.
Oh.
So he's at this coffee roasters preparers competition, and Rain and Mork are working the coffee shop. A group of thugs of like 5 or 6 dudes come in, trash the coffee shop, beat up Mork, beat up Rain a little bit, but basically put Mork in the hospital, beat him up so bad. Sun shows up at the hospital, is like, you troublemaker, can't you keep your promises? Didn't I tell you to quit getting into fights? And it's like, he didn't get into a fight. A gang showed up to your coffee shop and ganged up on him and beat the shit out of him. It wasn't a fight because it wasn't one-on-one. It wasn't fair. They literally held, two dudes held him while another one proceeded to like knee him in the stomach and punch him in the face. That's not a fight. That's not a fight. That's a beatdown. And so I've been really frustrated with Dark Blue Kiss because I'm like, I get it that, you know, you need drama in order to make a show progress, but I would like realistic drama instead of some of this bullshit, like made up for likes type drama. It's too much. It's too much. If they don't turn the ship around on Dark Blue Kiss, I'm gonna be highly disappointed. And Until We Meet Again is amazing. If you haven't started watching Until You Meet Again and you're interested in starting a boys love series, I highly, highly recommend Until We Meet Again. It's not a bunch of kissing and hugging. So if you're looking for something that's super salacious and graphic and physical, it may not be the one for you. But the storyline is very interesting. It involves a reincarnation story and a forbidden love story. And for that reason alone, I recommend you starting it. I can't say anything about the show because spoilers, and also it's a little bit more involved. But please start it. I think you'll love it. So that's all for now, you guys. Thank you so much for all of your kind words. Thank you for hanging out with me this morning. I'm not usually up like this, but like I said, restless sleep leads to a morning broadcast. And I will talk to you guys later. Please do your homework. Watch JNR Element. It is so awful. Ugh, I gag. And I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.